Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to ChriswithaC. Hope you're all doing well. Thank you very much for joining me today, guys. As you can see, I have got, and you've probably seen by the description, issues with my Tekno MT410 2.0 now. It's funny because this truck has been absolutely rock solid up until now. Now, I was at a bash event down in Tenby, Heatherton World for Tenby RC's end of season bash. And the car was flying around, performing really well. What we do, guys, is basically a bit of bash racing. Now, with this being a monster truck, the idea is just basically race around with all the 1/8 scales, 1/10 scales, that sort of thing, and just have a bit of fun, you know, that sort of thing. It's nothing too serious, but with the sort of pedigree this truck has, it should be absolutely ample, and it was for a long time until I managed to get a rock stuck in my motor mount, and at the time I've been running the M2C motor mount. Now, the only issue I've got with that is there is a gap on the side which allows stones to come in. Now, I should have sealed it before I actually run the truck. But what we ended up with was a damaged center diff. Now, you probably can't see this on camera. I will show you some close-ups in a minute. It scored all the inside of the diff and locked the diff up, all right, because obviously this is composite here, and it jammed the rear end up and has caused the input and crown gear inside here. So it was quite a big rock, quite a substantial rock about this size, jammed up the rear end, and then obviously any power that was going to the rear end, I think, damaged the teeth on the input and crown gear. So love the truck as it is. It's not going anywhere. It's what is, you know, definitely a firm favourite for me. I decided to then go looking for upgrades. So RPRC here in the UK. All right. Big shout out to Dan for getting in contact with me about this. Now, what I did, guys, is basically look over to see what optional parts are in the manual, and it turns out that you can actually buy some metal diff covers for the diff, number one. Number two, until I've actually sorted out the problem with the M2C and basically seen if we can get like a different part to cover the rear diff, I'm gonna have to go back to the stock mount. Now, as you know, I was running, and the whole point of the M2C diff was I was running higher gearing than what the car actually comes with. So I then purchased the short course track motor mount, the fixed motor mount. This is again Tekno 7075, really nicely made. It will allow me from, what's it go up to? Let's have a look. From 16 up to 22. Now I think when we ran with that big motor that I had installed in the car, I actually detuned it a little bit and geared it down to a 15 tooth because of the size of the motor. Well, I've got a new motor to fit in there. This is a 2150 3070 kV surpass rocket motor. So I'm going to be using that in the car now because, quite honestly, as much as that big motor was good, I didn't feel that much of a difference, and that again was because I'm restricted with the size of the truck. I mean, the problem I've got is, if you look here, is obviously the amount of space you've got between the rear diff and the ESC. Now, I did slightly make some changes to the ESC tray to make the motor fit last time, but even with that, I then had limited movement because of the size of the can on changing gearing, so I had to go down to a 15 tooth. I wanted to stay with the 18 I had installed previously, so I've gone with that motor mount there. Now, they also sell these hardened rear input gears. Okay, so they're obviously hardened on the end, and then I think it's 7075 shaft. So the part number for that is TKR 5152. I've gone with that. Now, this is where Dan, in all fairness, RPRC guys, the UK premier dealer for Tekno here in the UK. Obviously, you guys in the States will have someone else. Contacted me and asked me to give him a call back. So I rang him back. I'd just been down the hospital with my parents, and there was a message on my phone. Sat in the car with my wife and said, look, can you give us a call? It's about your order. And I'm thinking, here we go. Okay, there's a problem with my order. I'm not going to get the parts I need. where do I go with this now? In all fairness to Dan, he's already upgraded the rear diff for me. Now, the funny thing is, this part, which is TKR 5148, all right, is actually the upgraded diff out of the 1/8 scale truggies and buggies. Now, the reason why he's done this is basically for no other reason. Didn't ask for any show, airtime on the channel or anything like that. I've offered to do this because it's such a good service. He sent me a message saying, look buddy, I've upgraded the rear diff for you. That way then obviously you can keep the car running, and the original 1/8 scale diffs are bomb proof. Now, inside your diff case with the MT410, if you go back to watching when I did the build, the guide basically where your planetary gears, all right, sit on, they're actually plastic. So with this, you actually get the lightened output shafts, number one. Number two, you get metal guides. I think that's what the Spider or whatever it is called inside there. And also some hardened gears and so on and so forth. And this should actually prove to a pretty bomb-proof rear end on this car. Now, I don't think the gears in here, because I have had it apart. As you can see, obviously I've taken it all apart. There's a little bucket there with bits in. I have actually looked at it, and there was some light metal shavings, nothing major, some light metal shavings. Now what was happening is, as I was powering, I was getting diff click. Now I've checked the case, it's not like last time where the diff case is damaged or anything like that. I think all that's happened is basically the motor was trying to push on the rear, and the rear was locked up at the time. So with all this in plan here now, what I'm going to do is I'll quickly show you down below. Excuse me guys, got an itch. I'll quickly show you down below of the parts I'm going to be adding to the vehicle. Time lapse. This is more of a show and tell. I want to document obviously fixing the car up. And a massive shout out to RPRC for the amazing customer services once again, for their Tekno knowledge and just basically being professional with their job. And I really like that. I appreciate this so much, and it makes you realise why you end up buying a truck like this is because of that sort of reason. Customer service, backup, that sort of thing. Amazing. Right, pause the video. I'll see you down below in a sec. Right guys, so as you can see, RPRC, this is obviously, if you want to go and check out anything to do with Tekno, definitely worth going and look at, especially if you're in the UK. That's the website there. Big shout out to Dan. So as I mentioned, upgraded rear motor mount. As you can see, it is for the MT410 2.0, but it will actually fit. Did a bit of research, it does say it in the manual. As you can see, the gearing options there are between 16 and 20. It's identical to the stock one, just different positions for the gearing. I've also gone with this upgraded part here, which is obviously TKR 51135, and that is a differential case, hardened steel. We've also gone with the upgraded rear gearing, which is TKR 5152, CNC straight cut 10-tooth input gear. As you can see, it's got a hardened end on there as well. And also, this was the big one for me, which is TKR 5148 complete front/rear differential. If you look guys, every single bit you're going to need to actually build up the diff is all in there. I love the way Tekno do this. Obviously you've got a full instruction manual, which is more than some cars with. And in there, as you can see, you've got the lightened output shafts, which are metal. You've got your gearing, you've got your Spider sort of guide, as I would call it. It's basically like a cross pattern, and you've got your differential case. Now I'm going to build this up. I'm going to go with stock fluids. I don't feel the need to lighten up the rear end because the car turns in great anyway. But yeah, big shout out to the guys, and they just upgraded this without even asking. So it was nice for them to do that. But yeah, I'm going to fit them in the car. I need to strip down this rear end now and basically get the differential gear out there and get the car back together. And then what we're going to do, as I mentioned, this is the motor I'm going to be installing, which is 2150 3670. It's a pass motor, 4mm bullets, which will obviously go with my 120 10120 BL G2 ESC, and then obviously I can upgrade the gearing. So yeah, let's go. Right, okay, so let's just split the package open. So let's see what we got in this rear differential kit. You've got obviously your diff cup, as you can see here, your outer casing, you've got your hardened gearing. Obviously this is all metal, but it is a hardened, and the thing is with the 1/8 scale rear front and rear diffs, they, as many people say, they are actually classed as pretty much bomb proof. So I'm just going to take all the parts out and show you as we're going along. So we then got our output drives, as you can see here. They're lightened, but they're actually hardened at the same time. So all metal. I'm going to be putting these on the car because that should make a quite a substantial little upgrade. So put them over to the right hand side. Inside here then we obviously got your bearings, as you can see. So you've got your bearings, your O-rings, you've got your metal guides, which is a big upgrade over the standard diff. And then obviously your spider gear screws, so you got your planetaries and sun gears, sorry I should say, and the instructions. So moving all this away now. As I mentioned, part number is TKR 5148. Nice little upgrade for your Tekno MT410. Now, as I mentioned, what I do like about these Tekno cars is the quality of the manuals you get with them. They're very, very detailed, and it's very easy to understand. So just spinning that around for you guys, as you can see, give you a full breakdown of obviously how the parts all go together, how to put them together. But it's quite easy to do, don't get me wrong, but you know, it's nice that they give you a full instruction leaflet on how to put it all together. So I'm just going to pause the video 2 seconds. I need to go and get the owner's manual just to remember. I'm pretty sure the rear is 50k, but I want to make sure. So I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so looking on page 4 of the manual here, it does say that the rear is 50k, so I'm going to build it per kit spec. Again, because I haven't had any issues with the way the car handles, so I want to basically just, you know, make sure that it's working as per kit spec. Now, I could possibly lighten up the rear end to help it turn a bit more, but I don't think it needs it. The truck is very, very sprightly and easy to use, so I shouldn't have too many issues there. But 50k for the rear. So bouncing back here, obviously I've got my little instruction manual. I'm going to build this for you right now. So it should be quite easy. Let's have a look. So I think what I'll do, 2 seconds, is I'll put you on a time lapse. I'm building it, and then I'll tell you if I run into any issues. So as you can see, guys, remember I mentioned about the upgraded insides here. Alright, so these pins that go across to hold these planetary gears in. Alright, on the original kit spec, these are plastic. Now, as you can imagine, with it being the rear end, that turning the way it does, alright, all that pressure is reliant on that plastic holding together. Oh, massive shout out to Garage Life RC for this really cool differential stand here for rebuilding your diffs. He sent this over, guys, with some parts. I won't put a link in the description. Really, really awesome guy, actually. I want to say a massive shout out to Tyson. The quality of his 3D printing is absolutely spot on. I want to basically use this for all my diff building kits. It's really, really nice. I believe, yeah, there's a size there of obviously the diff cups. You can go up to 13.5. and he does them for different size RCs, e.g. diff cups. So what happens, you've got your diff there, as you can see, that then sits inside and then holds it all in one place, whereas you're rebuilding, you've got a little station to work off. So for example, put your screws in, you know where they are. Planetary gear, that can go inside there. Keep your little O-rings, that sort of thing. It can all go in there, and as you're working, it's easier. But yeah, a little upgrade there, and that's what the inside is looking like. Really, really nice. No issues there. Yeah, should be an upgrade. Okay, so rear end is put together. Remember, guys, bearing. So when I was putting this together just now, I forgot to put the bearing on, so I had to take the gears back out. Anyway, it is now topped up with 50k. This is what came out of the kit, so I'm using that. What I need to do now that's settled down, is I'm going to pop this on top. Alright, like so. Alright, and just do the screws up. Make sure you keep an eye on. You should be able to, see through. It should be daylight poking through, because there's actually the hole. They've made a hole at the rear end of the diff case. So if you do get any diff oil in there, the diff oil will come back out. It's not stuck in there. You won't hydrolock. Now I'm hoping this teamed up with the new gearing should actually make a bit of a difference. As I say, we're going for hardened gears as well. Let's make sure that's in. You don't want to do all the screws up fully. You want to do it in a cross pattern. Top, bottom, left, right, top, bottom, left, right, top, bottom, left, right. It's until the diff actually goes together. I've got to say, mind, I thoroughly enjoy building these Tekno kits, and I can see myself eventually, hopefully, fingers crossed, getting myself something like an ET48 or an EB48. I think next year what I want to do is get myself back into racing. Many of you guys probably know on the channel, racing was kind of my bread and butter, e.g. what I love doing. And with the kind of bash racing that we're doing recently, it's kind of sparked a little bit of a thing for me. I do like the feeling of racing around the track. You get into a flow. It's different from bashing because you're kind of concentrating on yourself as well as the other cars on track, don't get me wrong, but you kind of, your goal is to get yourself faster and faster around that track, and the more you run whichever track you're running on, you kind of get a feel for the car, you make some changes, and just try and get into the flow of the track and then improve your times as you go along. So essentially you're just concentrating mainly on yourself. I mean, yeah, right, if you're faster than someone you will overtake them, but that's how I feel. So yeah, that's coming together. Really nice. Nice and smooth. Right, differential is all built up, feels absolutely tip top. Right, as you can see, all put together. What I'm going to do now is obviously strip down the back end of the MT410 and get the diff out. I need to get the output drive out, and then obviously this diff cup, separate it all, and then install the new one. So time lapse a sec. I'll adjust the camera now. I'll time lapse it, and I'll start taking that apart, and then we'll start adding the input and the new gear. Let's go. Right guys, if you're following along with this upgrade, as you can see, so this is the stock gearing, which is really good, but I haven't really essentially got any wear on there. But as you can see, the difference in colour, the other one was silver, this is a hardened black, alright? The main issue I had by the looks on things was this gear. It's not completely gone, alright, but there is signs of a lot of wear going on there on the input gear. One thing to mention, when you take the input gear out, when you build the kit, this little shim is actually sat behind there, and it spaces it out. Now, when I tried adding the hardened gearing in, let me just show you. As you can see, there's the hardened input gear. That shim was actually stopping it from making the input gear turn properly. It was quite notchy. It's nice and free now. There isn't any movement on the output shaft here. Make sure you add Loctite, by the way, to this screw. And also, remember now, when you take out, let's say you take out, you're doing the same as me, you take out that. There are two shims that go on the bearing side. All right, it doesn't go on the crown gear. So these two shims that come with the kit, you are going to need to reuse these, because if you don't, you may end up with excessive play in the gearbox. But thought I'd just mention that to you. Make sure you're using Loctite or thread lock, and then pop it back in. But as you can see, I cleaned it all out. There's no damage or signs of damage to the gearbox. Everything's fine there. So I'm now going to pop it back in, put you back on another time lapse, keep going, and rebuild this gearbox. By the way, guys, okay, so this was the damage I picked up. As you can see that big groove here? that is what's actually caught. Now, I am using a GPM upgraded metal spur gear, 41 2.0. This is holding up absolutely admirably. I've got no problems with the quality with GPM lately. Really, really happy with that. Output shaft is fine. Obviously, I need to get this out, obviously, because that's going to go in the diff. Obviously, this case here is going to be rebuilt on here. But it made a hell of a mess, and that's how jammed up it was. So the stone, imagine that being at the rear end. So obviously that is then, oh, this way. You've got your drive shaft coming from the front. So it's trying to spin the front up. And also this then is attaching your output here. And the stone was just jammed in there, rock solid around this side of the case. So I couldn't see it, even when I took the casing off. And yeah, it just locked the car up basically, which would put too much strain on the rear diff. And I think that basically shot the rear diff away. But I wanted to upgrade it anyway, so obviously I'm going to go with the hardened gearing and that sort of thing. But yeah, absolutely awesome. But yeah, as you can see, I have got differential fluids. I'm going to top it all back up with stock fluids anyway, okay? I'm not going to go changing too much weight around. Got a bucket full of parts here. I need to re-add to the car. Let's go. Right, okay, so the next job on the list, guys, is obviously this center diff case, which is TKR51135, or is that S? Could be S. Might be 5, might be S, not sure. But it's essentially for the ET48 and MT410 original, but it will actually fit this diff case, and as you can see, look at the state of that. Quite a mess, to say the least. So what I need to do now is obviously strip this all down. We're going to fit all the gearing into this case and then top it up with the stock fluids. And then we'll move on to the motor mount, and the exciting stuff comes then, basically putting all the car back together, fit the new motor, and fingers crossed we should be back in the running. But yeah, hell of a mess. Look at it. Something to take notice of here, guys. So obviously, as you can see, I'm about to fit this metal case, and the reason why I'm showing you this is because of, let's have a look inside. Now, as you can see, there's a lot more space for diff fluid in there, and the benefit of obviously running a metal diff case is, one, obviously it's not going to get damaged like this one did. All right, if it's stone, in fact, look, there you go, there's stone embedded in there. Number two, the standard case, because of the plastic to keep it strong, as you can see, the gap is quite substantially different. For it to be strong here, the metal one doesn't need to be nowhere near as thick, and that will allow you to put more diff fluid. Now, the benefit of doing that is obviously your gears keep cooler inside as well at the same time. I was having this conversation on my channel with a member recently, and they were saying about your diffs warming up. Diffs will warm up with enough use. You can actually touch a diff case and feel the temperature difference. Obviously, with these, you can add more fluid in there, and obviously that's going to help the longevity of your gearing, and also your diff fluids won't thin out when you're using them for long periods of time. So let's say you do multiple packs. This is definitely the better way to go forward. Now, one thing to mention, again, this is metal, so when re-adding your screws, make sure you're adding a little bit of thread lock. But yeah, awesome. Should be a nice little upgrade, that. Right, so that's the rear, sorry, not the rear, the centre diff all built back up. We've got the metal case on there now. Metal case, metal gearing, that's going to be pretty damn tough now. Feels smooth as a baby's bum. What we're going to do now is obviously re-add the rear end back onto the car. Oh, where we to? There we go. And get the rear end all built back up. Obviously, that sewn up and put back on the vehicle. Then I'm going to work on the centre diff and put the motor in. But finally we should have an even tougher, already tough MT410. So yeah, I'm gonna crack on with this now, put it back on a time lapse. Anything to mention? Like I said, the shim on the rear gearing, that needed to come off. The center diff is now containing more fluid, so that's definitely going to be a good thing. Yeah, I love this truck anyway, so it is, you know, fun working on it as well, because I know I built this up myself. It's good, pretty cool. Right, let's crack on. Right guys, welcome back. So she's back on 4 wheels, all upgraded, all the diff service once again. Back with the stock motor mount. When I say stock motor mount, obviously the short course version. So we're now rocking an 18 tooth pinion with the 2150 kV 3670 rocket motorbike Surpass. On top of which the rear diff has obviously been upgraded by good guys at RPRC. Thanks Dan obviously for sending the parts over for me to look at as well, buddy. Really do appreciate it. I'm hoping now obviously this truck once again can fly. Honestly, it's one of those trucks that you really do have to drive it to experience how well these behave. I gave it to a few of my friends in Heverton, and honestly, all of them, the response was flat across the ground. That's one of the best driving vehicles that I've used. And, you know, I can kind of understand really, because obviously Tekno being as good as they are, especially race-bred vehicles. So it's all back, it's all running, everything should be A-OK. You're going to see a lot more of it on the channel again now. I just like the way this works. Guys, in the comments, let me know what wheels you'd put on you, because I'm still enjoying the Louise, but I'm looking at different wheels. Now I did try to purchase these J Concept Magmas to go on there, but the only thing with that was they're actually buggy wheels, not truggy wheels. I was hoping to get like a truggy size, you know, maybe 1/10 or something like that to go in there. They probably will fit, but I don't think they're going to be suitable for this truck. If they are, let me know in the comments. Maybe I've made a mistake, because I've actually found a new home for these. Friend of mine's having them, Robbie. But yeah, absolutely awesome. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like I say, it was more just to show you the damage to the vehicle, what I'm upgrading it with, and show you the parts that you can add to the vehicle. Like I say, so the rear diff now is essentially out of the 1/8 scale truggies. But yeah, all up and running, all the screws back in, everything as it should be. Should be absolutely amazing. I want to say a massive thank you to each and everyone who are obviously watching all the videos, all the likes, shares and subscribes go on the channel, guys. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I can't thank you enough for all the participation in the actual community posts and also the comments. Keep liking, keep subscribing and keep sharing, guys. You know, honestly, this little journey that we're on at the moment, I really do appreciate you coming along for the ride. Till next time, guys, check the box for more videos. Stay awesome. I'll catch you later.